She says she's not interested. She replies late. She seems indifferent. But deep inside, you want to be the man she can't stop thinking about. Here's the truth. Chasing her won't help. Begging for attention only pushes her further. Instead, you must activate the most powerful force that pulls her back in. Your absence, your presence, your mystery, your Stoic essence. This isn't a game of manipulation. It's the art of stillness, value, and control. And once you understand this Stoic approach, you won't need to force her to miss you. She'll do it on her own. Let's begin. 1. The Stoic Foundation. Why your reaction is her compass. Women are emotional beings not because they're irrational, but because they feel more than they think in attraction. And the biggest mistake men make is reacting too quickly. She pulls away, and you chase. She becomes cold, and you ask what's wrong. She tests you, and you over-explain. But the Stoic man knows. When someone turns cold, it's not your cue to react. It's your cue to withdraw into presence. She expects you to fall apart, to seek validation, to fear losing her. But when you do the opposite, when you remain centered, calm, and unaffected, you send a shock to her nervous system. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he explaining himself? Why is he calm? This emotional dissonance is what plants the seed of curiosity. And curiosity, when left unresolved, turns into obsession. 2. Silence speaks loudest. The Stoic power of withdrawal. When a woman acts uninterested, don't fight it. Withdraw, not in anger, not in ego, but in quiet command. The Stoic doesn't chase disinterest. He honors it. He steps back and focuses on himself, his mission, his body, his peace. You see, absence creates space, and space creates imagination. When you're constantly present, she has no room to feel your absence. But when you retreat into purpose, your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting her own uncertainty, her emotions, her longing. And eventually, she starts to think about you, not because you begged, but because you vanished with dignity. 3. Magnetic detachment. Never let her feel ownership over you. Here's what Stoics understood. The more you allow others to possess your emotional state, the less they respect you. So when you give her your full emotional availability before she's earned it, you rob yourself of power. The Stoic man remains available only to those who reciprocate. He's not cold, he's selective. This creates an aura of mystery. Not the fake, play hard to get nonsense, but the real mystery of a man who does not need approval. A man whose soul is already full. When she senses that she can't control you emotionally, she feels compelled to chase your energy. Because women don't want to lead emotionally. They want to be pulled into your gravity. 4. The art of presence. Be so rooted in self, she can't forget you. Stoicism is not about pretending not to care. It's about caring deeply for yourself first. When you build a life so rich, so disciplined, and so aligned with your values, you naturally become unforgettable. She doesn't miss you because you texted her daily. She misses you because when you were around, you had depth. You didn't seek. You gave value. And now that you're gone, there's an empty space only you could fill. This is the power of presence. Not loud, not desperate, but rooted. Come. Powerful. 5. Never explain, just evolve. Growth is the most attractive disruption. When she seems uninterested, don't try to explain yourself. Don't try to fix the connection. Don't ask what went wrong. Instead, disappear into growth. Let your results explain what your words cannot. The Stoic man does not try to be missed, he becomes impossible to replace. He doesn't announce his evolution, he embodies it. When she sees you glow in silence, When your life improves quietly without her. When you smile more, stress less, and succeed relentlessly. She won't just remember you. She'll reconsider you. 6. Be the reward, not the reminder. One of the greatest mistakes men make is constantly reminding her of their presence. Random texts. Stories she doesn't ask for. Pictures to make her jealous. But the Stoic man? He becomes the reward, not the reminder. He doesn't insert himself. He lets her curiosity do the work. If you're always available, you're predictable. But if your presence is a reward she must earn, then every moment with you becomes valuable. When she finally reaches out, don't over-celebrate. Don't throw away your boundaries. Remain calm, receptive, strong. Because now, she's responding to your silence, not your chasing. 7. Let go of outcome, and that's when you win. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing her to miss you is when she begins to miss you most. Let go of control. Let go of forcing. Let go of expectation. The Stoic doesn't seek validation from the outcome. He finds fulfillment in alignment. Your peace, your discipline, your internal control. These are the weapons that make you hauntingly unforgettable. Because she will remember the man who didn't flinch, the man who didn't beg, the man who stood firm in his worth, while everyone else collapsed. 8. Final reminder. Don't try to impress, just be rare. Want to stay on her mind forever? Don't try to impress her. Just be rare. Rare in discipline. Rare in emotional control. Rare in your presence. Rarity makes you unforgettable. She may meet many, but she'll never meet another man who loved himself so deeply that her interest was a bonus, not the goal. 9. Emotional imprint. Why the way you make her feel is everything. It's not the things you said. It's not the gifts you gave. It's not the compliments you shared. What she truly remembers is how you made her feel. And this is where most men fail. They try to impress with effort, but they forget the emotional imprint. When you bring chaos, insecurity, and over-explaining, you leave behind a memory of discomfort. But when you bring certainty, calm, and unwavering self-respect, you leave behind a feeling of emotional safety. Even if she doesn't consciously admit it, she misses that energy when it's gone. She starts comparing other men to you. They may have more words, more gifts, more smiles, but they don't have that still, grounded presence she once felt in your company. And that contrast, that's what keeps her mind coming back to you. 10. The void principle. Create a space no one else can fill. Every time you overgive, overtalk, or overexplain, you close the gap that makes you desirable. But the Stoic man understands something powerful. A void has value. When you remove your energy, your presence, your insights, your calmness, you create a vacuum. And humans naturally try to fill vacuums. This is why disappearing with dignity is stronger than any words you can say. Let her feel that space. Let her sit in the absence of your calm. Let her wonder where your attention has gone. If you fill the silence, she doesn't feel it. But if you allow the silence to linger, she starts to ask herself questions. What is he doing now? Has he moved on? Did I matter to him at all? These are the questions that lead her to reflect. And reflection breeds desire. And what's scarce becomes valuable. Suddenly, She finds herself trying to figure you out, trying to analyze your silence, trying to earn your focus. That's when you know the energy has shifted. When she begins to initiate, not just respond. When she tries to mirror your calm, but can't match it. That's when you're no longer a passing thought. You're the standard in her mind. 12. Don't react to her tests. Let her test her own feelings. She may become colder. She may flirt with others in front of you. She may say things to test your emotional buttons. Why? Because she wants to know, do you really have emotional control? Or are you just pretending? Stoic men do not react to tests. They don't lash out. They don't guilt trip. They don't break their character for attention. They stay steady, because they're not performing for anyone's approval. This confuses her. She expects a reaction, but your stillness makes her question her own feelings. She starts thinking, why didn't he care? Did I go too far? Does he actually have someone else? And just like that, her game becomes her regret. 13. Reinvention in silence. Become a new version without her knowing. Here's a secret most men never realize. Your silence should not be passive. It should be transformational. While she's assuming you're the same, you're evolving in silence. Your body is stronger. Your habits are sharper. Your confidence is rooted. Your purpose is burning. You don't need to post it. You don't need to tell anyone. But the day she sees you again online or in person, she'll sense it. She'll notice the glow in your eyes, the calm in your voice, the certainty in your movement, and it will shake her, because she'll realize you didn't just move on. You elevated. 14. Be the chapter she can't rewrite. Every woman has a story she tells herself about the men she's met, dated, or dismissed. But some men, they're not just a page. They're a chapter she can't rewrite. Because your energy wasn't weak. Your presence wasn't needy. Your worth wasn't negotiable. You were kind, but not spineless. Available, but not desperate. Present, but not predictable. She may not tell her friends. She may never confess it. But deep down, she remembers. Because you didn't try to impress. You made an impression. And that kind of memory, the Stoic kind, never fades. 15. Emotional transmutation. Channel desire into discipline. Here's what most men do when a woman pulls away. They obsess. They overthink. They spiral. But what does the Stoic man do? He channels that emotion into evolution. Desire is not weakness. Desire is energy. And when you convert that energy into discipline, you become a magnet for the very thing you once chased. She's not thinking about the man who texted her 50 times. She's thinking about the man who felt her distance and responded with purpose. He trained harder. He leveled up his finances. He sharpened his mind. He mastered his silence. She may not feel your words, but she feels your shift, the vibration of a man who has reclaimed his power. That's what lingers in her subconscious. That's what makes her miss you when she's alone. 16. The scarcity principle. Rarity creates intrigue. The Stoic doesn't give easy access to his time or emotions. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because his energy is sacred. And what is rare is valuable. When every other man is trying to be seen, you pull back and let her wonder. When others post stories for attention, you post growth through results, not filters. When others talk too much, you listen deeply. You move in a different rhythm, one that doesn't beg to be noticed. And ironically, that's what makes you unforgettable. Because people don't forget what they couldn't fully grasp. She may have had your presence, but not your soul. And now, without either, she begins to crave both. 17. Strategic ambiguity. Let her fill in the blanks. Most men ruin attraction by over-explaining. They reveal too much too soon. They try to prove their worth with words. But attraction lives in mystery. It lives in strategic ambiguity. The Stoic man knows this. He lets her imagination do the heavy lifting. She doesn't know where you went. She doesn't know why you didn't respond. She doesn't know how much you care. So she fills in the blanks herself. And guess what? Her imagination is far more powerful than your actual explanation. When she's left with questions, she attaches emotions to those gaps. And emotions are the glue of memory. You don't need to control her mind. You just need to leave enough space for her to wonder. That's what makes her check your profile late at night. That's what makes her reread old messages. That's what makes her miss the you that never tried too hard. 18. Emotional control is irresistible. Calm is the new alpha. In today's world, everyone's reactive. They argue. They vent. They snap. Their emotions are on display like a public circus. But you're the calm in the chaos. The eye of the storm. You don't raise your voice. You don't beg for understanding. You don't lose yourself in someone else's turbulence. This emotional mastery doesn't go unnoticed, especially by women. Because while others try to control her emotions, you control your own. And that creates a space of trust and respect. She knows she can't shake you. And the inability to shake you shakes her. Not because you're cold, but because you're centered. And centered men leave emotional fingerprints that time cannot erase. 19. When you focus on your light, she can't ignore your glow. She might ignore you now. She might not see your value yet. She might act like she doesn't care. But none of that matters. Because the Stoic man doesn't need her recognition. He's too busy becoming undeniable. When you focus on becoming light, you no longer chase shadows. And trust this. Eventually, light is seen. Your energy will change. Your presence will evolve. You'll start walking differently, talking differently, living differently. And at some point, when she's sitting alone in silence, your image will flash across her mind. Uninvited, unforced, unforgettable. 20. She doesn't miss you until you're no longer the same. The man she once knew? He's gone. The man she took for granted? He's now focused. The man she thought would always be there? Now moves with purpose, and presence, and peace. And that contrast is jarring. Because she remembers a version of you that needed her. But now, you don't need anyone. Not because you're cold, but because you've become whole. And that's what flips the power dynamic forever. She can't reach that old version anymore. She doesn't even know the man you've become. And now, she wants to. She's curious. She's drawn. She's haunted by a version of you that never begged, never folded, and never chased, just evolved. 21. Texting like a Stoic. Less is always more. Most men destroy their image through texting. They try to be witty. They text too often. They double text when ignored. But the Stoic man? He treats texting as a tool, not a lifeline. He doesn't start conversations out of boredom. He doesn't reply within seconds. And he never texts emotionally. Instead, he remains minimal, intentional, and unpredictable. A single line. A delayed response. A message that carries weight without needing validation. His makes her wonder. Is he losing interest? Is he with someone else? Why is he so calm and composed? That curiosity, that subtle uncertainty, keeps her emotionally hooked. You don't need long messages to be missed. You need silence that speaks. 22. Social media strategy. Control the narrative without saying a word. You don't need to block her. You don't need to post cryptic quotes. You don't even need to post for attention. Instead, you let your life speak for itself. Show your growth subtly. A photo in a new location. A moment of clarity in nature. A post about your work, health, or mission, not her. Let her see your world expanding without her in it. And remember, don't like her posts. Don't reply to her stories. Don't leave digital breadcrumbs of desperation. You are stoic. You move with poise and precision. Your silence becomes suspense. And every post she sees reminds her of what she no longer has access to. You don't chase attention, you attract it. 23. In-person encounters. Mastering your presence when you see her again. So what happens when you finally see her again? Maybe at a party, at a mutual gathering, or by coincidence. Most men become anxious. They overcompensate. They try to act indifferent but fumble under pressure. But not you. You're grounded, relaxed, friendly, but detached. You smile without attachment. You listen more than you speak. You look her in the eyes not as a man trying to win her, but as a man who has already won himself. You don't try to prove anything. Your calm becomes your power. And your energy sends the message. I don't need you. But I respect what we had. And I'm doing just fine. That moment, that unshakable composure, will hit her harder than any words ever could. 24. Subtle status. Elevate quietly. Let her discover it indirectly. You don't need to brag. In fact, Stoic men avoid it. But that doesn't mean you hide your growth. You simply let it leak into the world naturally, softly, powerfully. A better body she sees when you walk by. A calm voice she hears when you speak. A new project, a new tribe, a new light around you, that she hears about from others. Let her find out you're leveling up, but not from you. Let her hear how different you've become from mutual friends. This second-hand discovery creates shock, because now it's not you saying, "I've changed." It's reality proving it. That's when she starts to see you again. Not as the man she knew, but the man she overlooked. And that regret, it festers quietly inside her. 25. Say less, mean more. The Stoic way to make your words cut deeper. Women hear compliments daily. They hear flattery from men who want something. But when you speak with weight. A Stoic man doesn't flatter. He acknowledges. He praises with restraint. And when he speaks, it means something. One thoughtful message from you, one genuine comment, one powerful sentence, is worth more than 100 meaningless texts from someone else. Because you don't throw words away. You craft them. You deliver them with precision. And she feels the difference. The less you say, the more she listens. The fewer compliments you give, the more she chases them. The calmer your tone, the louder it echoes in her memory. 26. Emotional independence, the final weapon that haunts her. The ultimate Stoic trait that makes her miss you long after she's gone? You're emotionally independent. She realizes. You didn't crumble when she left. You didn't spiral into desperation. You didn't seek another woman to replace her instantly. Instead, you stood tall. You healed in silence. You built yourself in solitude. You didn't move on in reaction to her absence. You moved forward because it was your nature. This is the difference between emotional strength and emotional dependence. and when she finally understands that your love was offered freely, not from lack, but from abundance. She knows she lost a man who wasn't just different. He was complete. In the end, the goal isn't to make her miss you. It's to become the kind of man she can't forget. Because you were never chasing. You were simply becoming. You weren't loud. You weren't desperate. You didn't beg. You disappeared into discipline. You retreated into self-worth. You walked away with quiet power. That's the kind of man who stays on her mind long after the conversations have ended, long after the attention fades, long after the world tells her to move on. Because while others gave her noise, you gave her depth. While others demanded her time, you honored your own. And while others broke down at her silence, you rose in it. This is the essence of Stoicism. Not cold, not manipulative, but deeply rooted in strength, value, and emotional independence. So if she acts uninterested, let her. If she grows distant, accept it. You're not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to build yourself into such a rare force that your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. Stay calm. Stay patient. Stay stoic. Because the man who needs no one is the man everyone remembers.